With each passing day, I was just finding it hard and hard to just get back to it. And I think that was really the lowest point of my life. And you really saved me in the long run. Bikini is not just big glutes, it's all about balance.
If you kind of take PEDs for certain years, the chances of your LH, your FSH, your testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, so all these kind of don't come back to where they were initially. Just talk to the judges. And mostly the feedback is don't get too lean. There shouldn't be any striations.
With athletes, we can train and diet to a certain point, but sometimes we need somebody who's there to help us mentally. And I think that's also something you're really, really good at.
So the post-show phase is also another phase of competition. The fatigue levels are high, your sleep isn't great, your appetite is off. So it's more important to kind of focus on your health, just to bring your body back.
I want to continue getting better, of course, enjoying it and qualifying for the Olympia. That's I think everyone's ultimate dream.
It's not about giving 100% all the time. It's about doing whatever you can do in that situation. So it can be 100% for a few months. You can't do something, come back to 80, come back to 70. But that consistency, that persistence, that dedication kind of adds up and it compounds and gives you good results. So,
yes.
Hi guys, welcome to the first episode of the interaction with Team GM clients. So in this series, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my clients who have been working with me. I'm going to be showcasing what they've achieved, what their struggles were, how they have reached where they are now and where they were when they started. So today we have a very special guest. She is actually the first IFBB Bikini Pro from India. She's been competing since a very long time and one of the first bikini athletes in India. And in the recent past, working with me, we have managed to win a silver medal and a bronze medal in the Pro Show India. And her name is Navreet Josan.
Thanks for the great intro.
How are you feeling?
Feeling great, really excited. Thanks for having me on.
So what have you been up to these days?
Well, these days, of course, I'm in my off season. So planning to just work on all the improvements I want to make and also balancing work. So work is going great and just busy in a good way.
So if I ask you, like, where were you in your health and physique point of view before starting with Team GM?
Oh, well, it is quite a story. So if you remember around that time, COVID happened. And that is when I was struggling quite a bit with my workouts, my diet. I was living in Mumbai before. I moved back home in Jalandhar. And of course, the environment was very different for me. From living alone, managing everything you have control over, but then being at home and where you have food, which is very tempting. And of course, my work role changed quite a bit. So I was managing a lot of different responsibilities at work. But I was finding it really, really hard to get used to that whole thing of working out at home, just finding motivation to do that. And I was just neglecting it. So, each day I kept feeling, more low because workout and diet, they're like my anchors. So if they're not going right, I don't feel really good. And if you remember, I called you out of the blue one day, right? Saying that, hey, I'm really struggling.
Yeah, I think it all started when there was a pro qualifier in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
So I think that was 4th of March when Terry Castro had competed and you were here to be a marshal.
Yes,
I think 6 months prior to that, we had met in Starbucks for the first time, I guess.
Right.
We had the first formal introduction with Baljeet and you.
Yes.
And Sifat also met you.
Yeah.
So then we had, I think, made a plan that you should come over, come see us. And since you were coming to Chandigarh, the show was here.
Yes.
So I think you decided that you'll spend the night with us.
Right.
So I think that's the first interaction.
I think that's
we had.
where, it kind of like, we kind of discussed, and fitness is it's like a most loved topic. So we did talk about it and kind of hit it off.
Yeah, so that time I was thinking like maybe I should tell you that I want to coach you, but I didn't do that. And
I was thinking the same thing. I was like,
so you actually
I think I should.
Were taking my test, I guess. You asked me, will you be able to make my father's diet?
Oh, is it? Yes,
Yeah.
I did ask you that.
So, so I didn't ask you directly, but like we started talking then and then the lockdown hit because then you went back to Mumbai, I guess.
I did go back to Mumbai, yes. And then I came back. I was stuck in Mumbai for...
So the lockdown hit, I think, on the 21st of March.
Right. So
2020?
I was there for 3 months. I was stuck because there were no flights to Jalandhar. So I couldn't come. And then I came, and again, it was the same story. I was trying to, I got all the equipment even in Mumbai, but it was such a struggle, like just trying to lift weights. And then your neighbors are like, oh, it's too loud. And you know how Mumbai flats are so small. But just
So
like,
were you grunting?
I wasn't grunting, but it was just the thud, and
Okay.
it's like it wasn't working out. And just, I think you kind of
So guys,
enjoy,
learn. You shouldn't be throwing your weights even if you're at the gym.
yes. But yeah, like I really kind of miss that whole vibe of going to the gym and like getting ready. And it's like a full process for me, and I enjoyed that. But it really threw me off. And I think that was really the lowest point of my life. And you really saved me in the long run.
Yeah. So we'll come back to, I think it was August 2020, when I think you
Yes.
reached back to me and said that I think we should start working together and maybe you can help me come back. Then you weren't that kind of able to get back into routine. Then
Yes,
we tried
yes.
it for a while. Then you asked me, can I send in a daily check-in just to be accountable?
We did that as well.
And then I think the lockdown hit again. So then there was a lockdown 2, 3 times again.
Yeah, and if you remember, I mean, I'm the kind of person who gets very excited whenever like there's a new project. I'll get really excited and I give it my all, but then when it comes to like in the long run, I can lose interest and kind of like get derailed. So I think that's what happened, and I would just vanish and not
Yeah.
send you my check-ins, and you were like, मैं तो give up नहीं करना. Send me your check-in. So I think you really believed in me more than I believed in myself that time.
Yeah. So I'll also say like that time I was a bit new into bikini coaching.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to let you go.
Right.
So that was also a motivating factor because I knew if I could get 100% out, we definitely would do well. So that was the driving factor which kind of helped me too.
Right.
Then I guess I received a call in July 2021. You said that you're coming back from Mumbai and probably you have some work in Chandigarh or like,
Yes. I
and
had
then you
some
stayed
work.
over. I said, just come over for a camp. We'll do that. And with all my camps, like whenever somebody comes, we generally party after that. So
Yes.
we also partied, and then we got to know each other, and we discussed about what struggles you have had in the past. So coming to struggles, so let me ask you, like, what were your biggest struggles in the beginning?
Well, in the beginning, I would say that consistency and just doing those simple things every day, which actually sounds so simple, but those are the hardest things to do consistently, because I just kind of, lost my routine. And I was just, with each passing day, I was just finding it hard and hard to just get back to it. And I think the further you swim away, the harder, the longer it takes, and you don't really see the results right away. So I would just lose motivation and not really like what I was seeing in the mirror. So consistency was
Seeing
one.
in the mirror, I remembered something.
What?
So I always share your picture, like
Yes,
the
I
first one,
hate that picture.
and we'll
And
do that here too.
oh my God, like I swear you've used that picture, and it's just not nice. And you're like,
You
no,
know
it
how many
inspires
people you
people.
motivated by just showing that picture? Like a lot of women have come up to me and say like,
Right.
we can achieve it, and they've achieved that too. So that's why I always ask my clients to be open and not be shy, and just tell what you are, like the truth and what
Okay.
you were. So that kind of helps other people definitely, and it also kind of builds your confidence that you were in that position someday, and now you've improved so much from that.
Yes, yes. So that's what I would say. Just consistency was the main thing, and that is what was really holding me back.
Yeah, and if we talk about struggles, if we talk about the bikini division, so compared to now, how were things then? What were the struggles then? And according to you, what are the struggles now which you see other people are kind of going through?
Oh, there were so many because honestly, I had no one to look up to, right? So Deepika is the one I spoke to first, who is an IFBB figure pro. She was also the first one. And she was the one who kind of introduced me to the whole competing thing. And from there, I didn't have anyone to look up to or kind of reach out to know how to go about anything. So yes, I did find a coach overseas who was helping me with the diet, training, a little bit of posing, everything. But then just really adjusting that to my current lifestyle was a big shift. I would say I was still eating very, very clean.
I know that
Yes,
because we've kind of worked a lot on that.
yes. But yeah, that's definitely been one of our strengths now. But at that time, of course, having a diet which is very Americanized, and also my knowledge was kind of limited at that time. So if my coach told me you're supposed to eat this, and if it wasn't available in India, I would still be like, no, I want to eat this. I have to find this. So it would just be more of a struggle for me. And a lot of times I wouldn't really like that food either. So it wasn't really a lot of fun because I wasn't used to eating that. But yeah, just adjusting to the diet was one. Even in terms of training, I would say that that took a little bit adapting in the starting, doing a lot of cardio that I wasn't really used to.
So how much cardio you've done the most?
Well, the maximum I've done, you wouldn't believe it, it's 3 hours a day.
3 hours of cardio
3 hours of cardio
while
a
doing a
day.
job and prepping your meals yourself.
Yeah, and 1.5 hour of workout.
Yeah.
So I was
So
just literally.
why didn't you shift to the gym only? Like
Yeah,
spend the night
I
there,
mean,
wake up, do cardio, go
That
to
would
work,
have been
come
the-
back, train and sleep.
that would have been the ideal thing to do. But yeah, that is not the right.
And that's just
But
what.
hold on, I
Yeah.
have more. So that's not where it ended. I think just the whole thing of planning the entire trip, because there were no competitions over here at that time, if you think about it. I had to travel overseas and compete. So just everything, if you think about it, planning my travel. And I had traveled overseas, but not a lot, right? So just thinking about where to stay, what show to go to, what are the whole formalities that I need to look at. Where do I get heels from? They weren't shipping it to India. Where do I get a bikini from? Everything was so new. Tanning, what happens backstage? How do I even start posing? All of those things. Everything was new. Then switching cities, traveling from one city to another. All of that was quite hectic, but I'm super proud of, making it and just doing it year after year until the shows came here.
Yeah, you made it.
Yes.
And you did well. So like if I kind of fast forward it to now, so like all the challenges you faced, you get everything here now. You get a
Yes.
bikini, you can get heels, and you have so many people competing in the bikini division right now. You have mentors to look up to, you have coaches here, you have more access to coaches abroad. So
Right.
would you say it's much more easier compared to when it was then
Oh,
for
yes.
Indians?
Yes. I think everything from coaches to having mentors to just ask some simple questions. It's just a lot, it's a better time, and there's so much, opportunities are endless, and it's a really good time to compete and do great things.
And also like from the society point of view, how people look up to you, like I'm sure they must be thinking, are you crazy, or what are you doing back then compared to now?
Yeah.
Like it's more acceptable.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think I was definitely the black sheep wherever I went, from work to the gym, just having to open my lunchbox.
So is that the reason why you always wore black for work?
No, that wasn't the reason. But yeah, I think I still have to say that everybody at work was really supportive, and they really adjusted to my lifestyle and supported it. But it did take a little bit adjusting for people to know that I'm not going to be able to make it to the party. I'm not going to be able to go out and hang out late at night. I have to eat my meals at certain times. So just being stubborn about it, but also I think at some point that led to inspiring people to sort of adapting that lifestyle or taking some bits from it and weaving it into their lifestyle to live a healthy life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've come a really long way. So you're the real OG of bikini prep in India, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally.
So like if I ask you like what are the top 2 achievements or top 3 achievements which you've achieved being a part of Team GM, what would they be?
Okay, so first one, hands down, something I'm really super, super proud of, and it makes me so happy, is that we've competed at 2 shows and we placed really, really well at both shows. So I placed third and I placed second. And I remember when I became a pro, after doing my first show, where I found it really, really hard. I kind of figured out how tough it is to, place well as an IFBB Bikini Pro because everyone looks damn good,
Yeah.
So my first realistic goal was to come in top five. So after we started working, the first show we did, if you remember, I placed third. And then the recent show that we did, I placed second. So yeah, it's been amazing. So that's the first achievement. And the second one, I think, is that you make everything so easy and practical. It's just, I think you teach that how important it is to make, fitness, dieting, a lifestyle, and also how you don't really need to sacrifice. You can still have a cheat meal, you can still go out with friends, but there is a time and place for everything. And I think your biggest strength is knowing how to make those small adjustments to still be on track and get those results and keep making improvements, but also enjoy life along the way, which is why I think I can compete for a long time.
Yeah. So that's my main goal whenever I am working with somebody. So mostly people have that thing that they think that they just need to give their 100% all the time. And when they
Yeah.
aren't able to do it, they give, they leave everything. So
Yes, I think that's with our clients, right?
so I've done that in the past, and over years, over time, seeing people, seeing myself, I kind of realized that it's not about giving 100% all the time. It's about doing whatever you can do in that situation. So it can
Yeah.
be 100% for a few months. You can't do something, come back to 80, come back to 70. But that consistency, that persistence, that dedication kind of adds up and it compounds and gives you good results. So
Yes, yes. I don't think I really understood that as clearly as you helped me understand it practically, because I remember on days when I would be really, really tired, you would be like, okay, just come for a small workout. And then I would do it and I'm like, I don't want to do abs and calves. And you'd be like, okay, just do one set each.
yeah,
So I think the whole point is, yes, like if you miss a workout, it might not make a big dent in your progress right away, but it does help you with consistency because you're like, I've got to go, I've got to maintain that rhythm, and yeah, you want to really keep that rhythm along the way.
yeah. And talking about the rhythm, if you want to keep it, so your diet or whatever you're training should be kind of enjoyable. So
Yeah.
if you don't have your cheat meals, you go crazy with them after a few weeks.
Yes.
So that's why I kind of bring out a balance, and it depends from person to person. So for you, you can go completely all out during the prep.
Yes.
So that helps, and during the off season, we can put in some other stuff. So that really helps.
Yes.
Yeah. So initially, when you got to know me, that I coach. So when you thought you want me to work with me, so was there anything holding you back from joining me?
Yes. I think I was like 50% in, but if you remember, I was just holding back a little bit because, of course, when you work with another coach, you do get attached and you do get used to them. So that transition is sometimes a little bit tough, especially if you're like a little bit emotional with, like relationships. So I think that's one thing I was struggling with. And of course, there's one thing that I felt was that with my previous coach, they provided a full package of things: coaching, cardio plan, supplement plan, posing, tips on stage presentation. So when I discussed with you, I was like, this is everything that they provide. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to manage. And I think you were really confident and you said, we don't really need it. We'll manage it.
Yeah.
So I think that confidence that you exuded and you were like 100% on it kind of helped me be like, okay, because I wanted to keep things simple and also put my trust in you. So that was the only thing that was holding me back.
So that was then, but now in Team GM, if you are going up for a bikini prep, we kind of give you everything. We give you the coaching, we give you the guidance to select your bikini, we help you with posing sessions, we even help you with makeup. You can get makeup tutorials. We can also set you up with makeup if you are competing at any of the pro shows. So like we have a full package now. And
I think, do you also want to mention a little bit about the fact that it's also about the whole community? I mean, there's like, you're not just alone backstage, we are all together like a
Yeah,
family.
so like Team GM is like a family, and like from that I can ask you to share something about how it was competing alone in the US compared to the shows you did in India.
Right. Well, honestly, I don't think I realized the difference until I actually joined your team. And we were all together backstage and doing everything together, and we had that support because I've been like, I've always been a very fiercely independent woman. So for me, doing things by myself is it's just the way I know how to do it. So I would go alone, I would plan everything alone, I would be alone backstage, and I would do everything myself. But when we were together as a team, right from, being at the Airbnb together, prepping our meals together, being able to see you, and with somebody like you who would make, look at my body and just be like, these are the changes we need to make on a day-to-day basis and even an hourly basis. I think your approach, it's very, very customized and it's very detail oriented, which is what I think makes a big difference and really sets you apart. So I think that's the big difference I felt. Just having everybody backstage helping you out, maybe like making your rice cake peanut butter, giving you your supplements, if your nail breaks or something, there's someone there to really help you out. And when you're on stage, they're cheering
Yeah.
you. It just makes such a big difference. And I think Team GM, it's one of our biggest strengths for sure.
Yeah, that's truly is. So I would also like to give a shout out to like the IHFF, because if the IHFF wasn't here, or the
Yeah.
Shirupaji wasn't here, these shows would not have come to India.
Yes.
And they really gave a good, you can say, a platform to compete for, especially the pros. And the amateurs were on. But
Right.
now, since if you see, these are the biggest shows in India. It's one of the biggest expos in all of Asia.
Right.
And you've been to the expo abroad also, and there is a big difference.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like the energy
energy
here,
the
the
crowds.
athletes, the energy, just that vibe is, I think, everyone from local athletes to international athletes, I think they just feed off the energy. You don't see anything like that anywhere in the world.
Yeah, so and it's also like if you want to compete in the IFBB, it's the only way you can go there.
Yes.
And it gives you a platform. So they've done a great job here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like big thanks to Sheru Paji and Manish Paji for that.
And coming to your physique, if we compare it from where you were when we started and where you are now,
Right.
so how would you say how you have changed?
Right. So I think, of course, I have a lot more muscle. And in my off season, I think that's the biggest challenge that athletes can face is in the off season, our body fat can go a little bit, the levels are not really optimum and they can be more. So I think the biggest achievement is that we have the muscle, more muscle mass, body fat is lesser. So shredding for a show is a lot easier, and I'm able to maintain an athletic look throughout the season.
Yeah. How was your off season planned before you started with me?
I don't want to talk about this, but I'm not proud of it. But okay, I want to be really, really honest. It was my biggest challenge because I can definitely diet really, really hard closer to the show, up to the show. But after that, because I would diet really hard for those months, I would just go pretty nuts in terms of I would just not be able to manage my diet and eat clean. I'd be like, I don't know what's happening, but I just can't stop eating. So I would just gain weight back really fast.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, like I think I even went through depression. I don't really know if I identified it, but I had a lot of like low moments because like sometimes you have an expectation from yourself, and that is how you view yourself, but how you are, it doesn't really align. So that is what was causing a lot of trouble. But yes, I would gain a lot of excess body fat in my off season, and then it's like doing the same thing again and again, gaining fat, getting lean. So I don't really think the muscle that I was putting on was, substantial. The growth wasn't really good, but now we've definitely overcome that.
Yeah, and also like talking about when we started, I want to talk about slightly about the hormones because for bikini, for all women's divisions,
Right.
hormones are very important. And also, if you're getting your periods or not, are they skipped or are they delayed? That's really important. So, how were your hormones before we started, and how do you think they are now?
Well, if you remember, honestly, I'd never gotten any blood work done before. So when you came in, you were like, let's get these blood tests done. And if you remember, my testosterone levels had almost tanked at
Yeah.
that point, right? And of course, that was causing a lot of issues. And later on, we also figured out there were some issues with progesterone as well. So we were able to balance, and I honestly have to give this to you that you are one of the best in terms of maintaining hormonal health, especially when it comes to females. Females, I think you do a really good job because it just makes prep so much easier and the results we want to see come so much quicker. And we are also able to compete for a long time.
Yeah, and the mood swings.
And the mood swings as well, yes. Those are
Yeah, so
much lesser.
there are two things you talked about. One was the post-show phase. So like a lot of
Yeah.
people experience that, and going into the show, everybody's dedicated. They're highly motivated.
Yeah.
They're like, this time I'm just going to nail the post-show. I'm not going to go eat off plan.
Yes.
And like all of them just start binging.
Yes.
Then the process is like they'll say, I'll start from tomorrow. I'll start from tomorrow. I'll start from tomorrow.
And you just can't stop eating.
And
yeah.
that's a process which just keeps on going, and then within 2-3 weeks you ruin the whole physique of yours.
Yes.
Now, post show, like there are certain things you can do, there aren't certain things you are able to do.
Right.
So, in my opinion, like it takes time to learn that.
Yes.
The more shows you do, you get more mature.
Absolutely.
So everybody who starts out has a different level of, you can say, ability to kind of diet post show, and some are good at it, some aren't. So people who aren't good at it, they need to learn it with experience. So
Yes.
they don't need to get depressed like the first time if that happens. So it's okay. So that's how I kind of go out with clients and tell them it's your first show, don't worry about it. Even with the prep phase, like they start eating certain stuff and they aren't able to be 100% on that. So if it's their first show, I am like a bit lenient. So the more
Right.
experience you get, that thing keeps on decreasing. So like if I give you example of Sunmeet, so he's another client of mine. You know him very well.
Yes.
So when he had started, so like he used to cheat every week or like every night,
Right.
like at least 2 nights every week in his initial shows. Then what happened was over the years that reduced, and now he's like 0. And even in the post show, he doesn't gain too much weight. And same with
Yeah,
you.
he looks phenomenal.
Even in the post show phase for your last competition,
Yes.
you were much improved compared to when you had started, and even the
Yes.
show prior to this in 2022.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I tell everyone is that you need to compare yourself how you were in the last show and not just be getting depressed like I can't do this. So
Yeah.
so it's always a comparison which you do, and like there are certain things you can increase. You can increase your protein. There are certain foods you can add. Then you can give yourself a cheat meal probably every day for the first 2-3 days.
Yes.
So like different ways around. And secondly, hormones like for bikini are very important because, and also not missing your periods or getting your periods for a longer duration is much more healthier. It keeps your skin, hair, your sexual health, everything on point. So
Right.
it's kind of very important. And where I feel is like certain people mess their hormones up a bit, and what happens is like if you kind of take PEDs for certain years, the chances of your LH, your FSH, your testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, so all these kind of don't come back to where they were initially. Then maybe some kind of supplementation or like exogenous, where we kind of give you hormones extra just to bring them back to the normal, gives a lot of good results. So I think what really happens post show is that you've been dieting for a very long period of time. Then
Right.
one day you wake up the next day, you stop taking all the support you were doing, all the hormonal support goes, all the PEDs which you were using, most people don't take them. Then you start eating a lot, you take in more calories, you stop doing cardio, you stop training.
Right.
And what you were doing, like up to the show, it's a completely opposite thing which you started doing now.
Right.
So that results in a lot of fat gain, muscle loss, even depression, mood swings, and not only in women, also in men.
Right.
So that is a phase which, according to me, is also as important as your prep. So if you are thinking of hiring a coach, like somebody, they should be kind of focusing on also the post-show phase and like
Right.
at least 8 weeks. So it takes about 8 to 12 weeks for your appetite to come back, your energy levels to come back, your sleep to come back.
So you mean from the time you finish the show,
Yeah.
after that, it's like a 8 week of reverse dieting
Yeah.
and not stopping everything all of a sudden.
Yeah, so there's a way of doing that. So the post-show phase is also another phase of competition, which needs to be taken as a different phase. And like most people start straight away enter the off season thinking that they'll gain a lot of muscle, which isn't the right thing to do because it's not a very conducive environment to put on muscle during that time.
Right.
Because the fatigue levels are high, your sleep isn't great, your appetite is off. So it's more important to kind of focus on your health just to bring your body back where it was initially and then maybe transition into the off season. So how good you do this phase will depend upon how fast you can enter the off season or the improvement season,
Yes.
what I like to call.
Right, I agree. I think by just following the plan that you gave, it was just so much easier in every way. Because earlier I used to be, and I think a lot of people think that you have to gain a lot of fat to, like some fat to build muscle in the off season. Like a little bit fat is okay, but you really don't need to, there should still be some lines that are
Yeah,
visible.
so if you do everything all right, like for women especially, like visible abs throughout the year is pretty easy. Like women don't gain too much fat on their abdomens, like some of them do, but it's pretty easy to kind of be athletic looking
Right.
as if you go to the gym. But most people you'll see in the off season look as if they don't even train.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that should never be the case. So you should be kind of focusing on growth and you shouldn't be doing too bulky or like holding water. So that's like a different topic to talk about. Anyways, so we were going off the tangent. So what are your next goals? If I ask you the question, where do you think you're going in the next 2 or 3 years in terms of competing?
Well, in the next 2-3 years, I definitely see myself still competing. And
So another question.
yes.
Sorry to cut you. So why didn't you compete this year?
Well, this year it's been a big focus. It's been a slightly different focus for me. So one thing was that, again, like at some point my sleep was not as optimum, and as a result, my health was suffering quite a bit. I was getting sick, every other month. So, which was, of course, impacting my training. Also, I really wanted to focus on work after I quit my job, which was after COVID in 2021. It was, I think so.
Yeah.
That is when, I, of course, wanted to focus on my own freelance business, also focusing as a makeup artist. I think a lot of people don't know that that's my main profession, but focusing on that and also doing something in the fitness space, of course, working as a fitness influencer, working with my sponsors, and also being a part of Team GM now. So I think my focus really has been those, and sort of I know that you told me that competing is always going to be there. These things are also really important to kind of, keep things really balanced and holistic. So that's the main reason. I just want to be really happy doing everything, and we'll be back on stage most likely in June next year.
So guys, if you want to compete, you need money for that. And if you want to make money, you need to work for that.
Yes.
So either you can balance both together, that's great. If you can't, then you save money, then you compete.
Yeah, I mean,
Because in India, I've seen a
competing
lot
is
of people,
expensive,
like,
yeah.
so I've been competing since 2004 and I've met a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of physique athletes during this time, and like most of them are usually broke. And
Yes.
all the supplement guys from where they get their stuff or get their gear from, they have their accounts there and they get stuff on credit and then they pay it off later on. So I've seen that is pretty prevalent in this industry. And though sometimes it's okay, maybe if you're facing a financial situation and you do want to compete, but you should have your own base.
Yes.
Once you're
Very
competing, you
important.
should have all your needs of your family, yourself should be complete. and then like bodybuilding is like a hobby, so it doesn't
Right. It
make you
doesn't make
money
you money.
directly.
Yeah.
Indirectly you can make money definitely. So if just by competing, I don't think you can make too much money until you're like the top 10
And you're competing often.
and you're competing often. Like even if you're competing, if you want to go for a pro show, you need
have to
to
spend
get
money
a ticket.
again, yes.
You need to stay there, and like easily you spend 5-6 lakhs on just
Right.
staying there, traveling, and apart from that, up to whatever you spend during your prep. So that's a lot of money. And
I think also
another
like, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, yeah. So another good thing about having shows in India is like you have access to shows here. So if you would compare when you competed in the pro shows in America, and you did 2 shows, I guess,
I did 2 shows, yes.
and you've done 2 shows in India. So
Yes.
you also placed better here,
Yes.
and you also beat a few Olympians here.
Yes, I mean it was as competitive, you know, over
Yeah.
here as well.
And you also, I'm sure you might have saved a lot of money here competing here.
Oh yeah, loads. And just I think one big struggle that I faced was that whenever I would travel, my body would just it would just not look the same. I would look better over here, and sometimes I've even gone to the US 2 weeks prior to my show, but still look worse. You know, it was just my gut would just not settle down to the new environment. So that was obviously like I think I would just be stressed out. And if you remember, you even looked at my pictures and you said you do look, your body just looks stressed over here, even though you're lean.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I remember for you, like you can gain easily 2 kgs overnight just from stress.
Yes.
And you can drop them off like next day
Yeah.
and the stress goes away.
Yes.
So that's a thing which is also very prevalent when it comes to women, because due to their hormonal fluctuations, due to their stress hormones, they tend to hold a lot of water, and that's something which we don't want in the peak week. So competing in your own country, knowing the language, also moving around,
Yes.
it's much more easier to compete here, I guess.
Absolutely.
So what's your goal now for the next year
Well, we want to,
or
Yeah.
3 years?
well, I want to continue getting better, of course, enjoying it and qualifying for the Olympia. That's I think, everyone's ultimate dream. But the short term goal is to, of course, make achievements. And I think by coaching under you, I've been conditioned to kind of make this a lifestyle. It's just something that I do rather than something I have to do when prepping for a show. It's like it's on 365 days. There are days when I'm 80%, maybe 60%. There are times when other things take more priority than, your training and everything. But I try not to go off track completely. So I think you've really taught me that. So thank you for that. But yes, like just building on a little bit more glutes and hopefully qualifying for the Olympia. That's going to be my dream.
Yeah, so last show we were pretty close.
Yes,
Yeah, we
were
placed
very
second.
close. Yes.
And the girl who won went to the Olympia. So the only difference she had compared to your physique was like her glutes were more rounder. So if I was to say that the only thing we need to improve right now is just to make your glutes increase size
Yes.
and make them bigger, such that they balance out the physique. And one thing I've seen here is people, I don't think, have the right, they don't know how bikini is judged, in my opinion.
Yes.
They just chase being lean, and they don't think about balance. So if you see, your training needs to be needs based. You need to be training as per who you are, not somebody
Yeah.
else's training plan.
Can you
So-
give me some examples of any
So-
of your clients in bikini?
So, like, I'll take your example. When you came to me,
Right.
your quads were very dominant. Your glutes and hamstrings were, I mean, not bad, but way a bit behind your quads.
Yes.
You can say your quads were overpowering them.
Right.
And also your upper back was pretty good.
Yeah.
Your lats were pretty wide. And they were a bit too big for bikini, in my opinion, too.
Right. For which we needed bigger glutes if they were that big, right?
So how your training plan evolved over time was like focused on more volume on the glutes. We stopped training quads for a while.
Yeah.
We
Even
focused
upper
more on
body.
hamstrings. We stopped training chest.
Yes.
For biceps and triceps, we sometimes don't even train them. During the show, maybe 6 weeks out or 8 weeks out, we do put in a few sets. Then shoulders have been important, and for lats, it's just for maintenance work. So,
Right.
so by needs based, I mean like whatever your body needs to make it a full package. So whatever the judge tells you that you need to do, you work on that. So for example, like many judges say that your glutes are big, not yours. Like if you get the feedback that your glutes are big, you probably need to stop training them.
Yeah, and a lot of people will not like that.
And
Yes. And it's a
they
bit
don't
like
like
it
it.
messes up with your mind quite a bit.
Yeah, because that's you love training glutes. So loving training and like
Doing
getting
what's
results out
right.
of it
Yeah.
for what you need is a different concept.
Yeah, I think this is a concept, especially here in India, we only recently understood that bikini is not just big glutes. You know, it's all about balance. And then yes, if you love training and you can't get over the fact that there will be certain body parts that you won't be training, you know, that's something you will have to kind of, you know, make peace with and do what's needed for you to build that physique.
Also, like people get like a lot of athletes get disappointed with the judging, thinking that they look good, they're in top place in the top five, but they need to introspect and kind of see what went wrong, or like just talk to the judges, and mostly the feedback is don't get too lean. There shouldn't be any striations, or your other muscles are bigger. Your abs are very well defined. So like in bikini, your abs don't need to be very well defined.
They just need some lines.
You
That's
need
it.
some lines, and you don't need to be striated. You don't need to be veiny. So all those things go against you. And also like having balance is something which takes time to build. And
Yes.
balance is like sculpting. So even any category in bodybuilding is like sculpting. So anything you need to make bigger, you put on some muscle there.
Right.
So that's when you get advanced. Your training plan changes from what a generic plan would be. So that's what a needs based plan would be.
All right.
And if you were to give 3 tips to all the bikini athletes who follow you, or like anybody who watches this, what would they be?
So firstly, I would say it's posing. That's something you want to focus on, not just closer to the show, but a little bit in your off season as well, right? Because you could have the best physique, but if you don't present it properly, the judges are not going to know, right? You need to hide your weaknesses, show your strength, you know, your strong areas, and also just have that confidence and really own the stage. Like when you walk in, judges should know, like, yes, that's the winner. So that is one. Secondly, I would say that you've got to make this a lifestyle, because then prepping just gets a lot easier. You know, you want to focus on your training, nutrition, and cardio every day. You know, it could be less one day, but don't go off it completely. And then third, your training needs to be more need based. So look at what is it that you need to work on based on the judges' feedback, and work on those areas. So it could be, you know, if there are certain parts that you like training more and they're your strengths, maybe those are the ones you need to train less and focus on the lagging parts.
Yeah, so those are really valuable tips, and most people make mistakes on these. I guess that's some valuable information to share. So, would you recommend being to your friends or family to get coached by Team GM?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a shameless plug there. Yes and no. I mean, on a serious note, I would absolutely recommend that. I think Team GM is not just about coaching. We are family, and that makes a big difference. But with you, you are so knowledgeable. You know, always updating yourself on what are the latest things that are going on in training. You're always adapting. I think one year, if you're training a certain way and you find a new way that's better, you always incorporate that. I know that you know you're crazy about always updating your knowledge, and you know you're doing courses. So that's one thing that's really commendable. And like I said, you know, I think with athletes, we can train and diet to a certain point, but sometimes we need somebody who's there to help us mentally. And I think that's also something you're really, really good at. So that's something at Team GM, you're so approachable. We can talk to you about anything, which helps a lot. Yes. And
Thanks.
and we provide everything, from coaching and from, makeup, posing. So you get everything, even traveling, we all together. So Team GM is the place to be.
Thanks for the feedback. So, guys, if you want to know more about Navreet, you can follow her on Instagram. Her account is LIL Rocket, Lil Rocket, and it's below in the description also. You can tap it and check her profile out. And it was great having you over. Thanks for the time and thanks for all the valuable information you shared, your journey, and how you've changed your physique in the last 2, 3 years. And thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me. Had a great time. Bye.
So, guys, if you also want to get coached or you're looking to plan a show, you're looking to plan your off season, or any other advice you need, you can follow me on Instagram, drop me any question. I'm always available and we can help you out in any way possible. So, like, we are very flexible. It depends upon your goals. So, drop me a DM, Team GM, and I'll get back to you. So, thanks for watching and see you in the next episode. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you guys later.